Thanks for coming. We're going to go ahead and get started. I know that's it's a little bit early still. Some people are kind of straggling in from lunch, but I want to get rolling. We have a lot of content to cover for you guys today. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Justin Brinley-Kuntz. I'm a senior manager with AWS Support. I've been with AWS for about 6 years, actually. I started in December of 2006. Have been in support the entire time. So I've sort of ridden the wave and been here to help AWS launch services and help all of you with the features and services that we're launching. We're going to jump right in. I'm going to flip through here and talk a little bit about some of the product offerings that we have today available for all of you out there as you onboard and start using our services. The AWS Support Product Matrix consists of 4 primary product offerings for you. We have basic, developer, business, and enterprise level support. The name of those offerings is pretty self-explanatory. It will help you all self-select as well. Basic support is one that we would consider our free tier. This gives you access to our developer forums for technical support, as well as all of the online collateral, documentation. We also have access to 24/7 customer service, which is now global phone support 24 hours a day. Developer level support, as you can kind of figure it out, is kind of set up for that individual that's coming on board and launching applications. These are folks that aren't running mission critical business applications that might just need a little bit of help. 12-hour service level on first contact response, as well as access. Good, as well as access to engineers via email. Business level support is what we would expect probably most of you in the room to sign up for, business or enterprise. Business level support is really the important product offering for everyone that gives you the phone access, email, and chat, as well as a 1-hour service level to contact engineers when you have help or need help. Additional features are loaded up here as well. Things like Trusted Advisor. You heard Andy Jassy in his keynote today talk about Trusted Advisor and the work we've done in support to launch a portal for all of you to use now to understand all the optimizations available in the cloud, how to save money. We're going to talk about that a little bit more today. We're going to go into a demo of that as well and answer questions at the end of the session if we have time. Additional inside business level support, you'll notice that you have access to third-party software support. This is something that we've rolled out this last couple of years, understanding that customers come into the cloud and don't just need help with AWS. We have a list of services and products that we will support for you, including Apache, IaaS, some database services like MySQL. We're there to help you out. One other call out here I want to really highlight is IEM, the Infrastructure Event Management. I'm going to have a slide on here in a minute as well to talk a little bit more in detail. That's available to you if you're on business level support and as well as on enterprise. We find that we help out customers with this quite frequently. I'll dig into more details here in a minute. And then enterprise level support. Enterprise level support is the one that is for our largest customers. This is one that extends the support offering that we have today. It gives you access to dedicated engineering resources. Your technical account manager will partner with you and work with you on a daily basis if needed to make sure you're successful in using our products. One of the important things to remember is that we are built on top of a legacy of customer obsession. The A in AWS stands for Amazon. Amazon is well known for being #1 in trust, loyalty, and customer satisfaction annually. When you consider the work that we're doing there, we are living up to that bar. We're trying to push that bar. We're trying to launch new technologies for you, innovate on behalf of our customers with things like Trusted Advisor. And we're growing. We understand that our customer base is global now. We've put data centers around the world. We've also put support teams around the world. We have technical engineers, customer service staffed in 6 different locations now, with TAMs remotely deployed to different countries where we know we have big customers that need help. The other important note to remember is that support is not just your typical break fix. A lot of support organizations have you sign up for support and tell you to call in when you have a single problem with a single issue that needs to be within their court. We're not just break fix. We're highly available. We want to be there for you in your time of need. We're much more than just the reactive troubleshooting. I listed a few things here to help sort of set the stage for you. We want to talk to you as a customer when you join AWS. We want to help onboard you. Jump down to the bullet point below, 150 annual features or services launched every year right now. Andy called this out in his slide and showed you the growth, the ramp. It's going to be more than that this next year and more than that the year after. It's our job as a support organization to be experts in all of these features and these services. Really hard for all of you to be experts in all of that. So utilize us, let us help you, let us educate you. We want to understand your architecture. We want to ask you questions that you may not be expecting. We want to guide you towards the right services and features to make sure that you're successful in your deployments, in your scale, as you grow in the cloud. Third-party software support I also included there just because that is a great extension beyond your typical break fix. We don't draw a hard line in the sand when you contact us and say, that's not our problem. We want to help you. We are customer obsessed, and we want to make sure you have a great experience with the products that you're deploying inside our cloud. Here are a couple good customer examples. I actually pulled these from live support cases that we worked on in the last month. Was just looking for, where have we gone above and beyond sort of the typical break fix support. The first one's a great one. It's a common thing that we see from customers that are migrating. Customers migrating to AWS don't always know where to start. They need somebody to talk to. They want to ask questions. They want some guidance. In this case, we had a customer come on. We educated them about the breadth of services available to them. We talked to them about all the different features that they could be using. And we really assisted them in the actual migration of an application that they were running inside their own dedicated hardware. In this case, it was a situation where they were trying to migrate a database via this PHP MyAdmin tool. They didn't know how to move the database files into the cloud and then load them. We worked with them. We deployed a FTP server, I believe, for them inside their own cloud. We migrated the data files for them, hooked them up through the PHP MyAdmin interface, and they were up and running. Next example is one that we do also see often, sort of the customer stuck between dev teams. Customers hire contractors, consultants to come in, build applications, build solutions for them in their infrastructure, and then they realize they need to deploy them and manage them in our cloud. We can help you do that. In this case, we helped a customer that was stuck. He was stuck. He needed some help installing his actual stack. We walked him through the application stack installation, helped him launch web servers, databases, move his code onto the platform, and got him up and running. This last one's a great example, too, where this customer had a very specific use case. Content management systems, where he was actually used to running a large NAS storage. He needed to know how to move that into the cloud. We covered with him. We got on a call with him. We covered with him all the different storage options available to you today. We talked about EBS. We talked about how to run LVM. We talked about striping across different volumes. We talked about how to actually get the performance that he needed to be able to move everything from his dedicated infrastructure into our cloud infrastructure. We also expanded that into some architectural guidance, helping him understand how to use things like ELB and autoscaling to scale when he grew. Infrastructure event management I mentioned earlier. We're going to show a couple more slides here with some customer examples in a minute. But the whole point of these are short-term, tactical engagements. Great examples are public campaigns, product launches, and marketing events. You know often when you're expecting the spike in customer traffic. Sometimes you're not, and we're there for you. But when you know you're going to be scaling. You know it's a moment that matters in your business. We want to work with you. We want to partner with you. We're going to assign dedicated support engineers to you, and we're going to work with you from day one. Hopefully not the day before your event, maybe a few days or a week or two. But we're going to dig in. We're going to do some discovery. We're going to ask questions. We're going to understand what's important to you. Do you need ELB? Do you need to pre-warm them to make sure they scale efficiently? Do you need to increase some limits so that when you do decide to scale, you don't bump your head into the ceiling? We're going to be on point for you during the actual live event. We're going to have engineers on call, watching graphs, potentially running a war room for you even, if you need to dial into that. And then at the end, we're going to do a post-mortem. We're going to talk about what went well. What were the lessons learned? What can you do differently if you have another peak, a month later or next year? Here's the first example of an IEM. This is a great one. This was mentioned in the keynote as an example here. The Obama for America campaign was highly using our cloud. Very deeply ingrained. Lots of resources, lots of scale. We were on point for them from day one, helping them through the event and on point through all the different peaks that they had. The Shazam commercials during the Super Bowl. I don't know if you remember, but during the Super Bowl, all the commercials would pop up, and then in the corner it said, turn on your Shazam app to learn about the actual commercial. We were on point for that. We were all watching the Super Bowl, but we were also all watching graphs at the same time to make sure Shazam had a great experience. NASA JPL is a great one. The Curiosity rover, when it was landing. This is kind of a cool one where we got to geek out a little bit. We had people on site with JPL watching the rover land on Mars. Not something you get to do every time. Okay, Trusted Advisor. We're going to dive into this a little bit today. We're going to do a demo here in a minute, but I'm going to walk you through on the high level some of the checks. I think the demo will actually speak volumes, so we're not going to spend too much time on these slides. But it's an important thing to understand that this is where we're investing. We're investing in the customer experience. We're investing to help you do the right things in our cloud. We draw upon best practices. I've been in support for 6 years now, and we've seen a lot of things happen within the cloud. We see how customers use it. We see what our customers forget to do. We see what are the right optimizations for you. We want to take all that information, combine it into these checks. We have 27 today. We have probably a roadmap of over 100 that we want to build out over the next year or two. Great stats here for you on how people are using Trusted Advisor. In the month of March alone, there were 329,000 recommendations viewed. And just looking at the cost optimizations from those, customers took action, saving them over $22 million in annualized savings. That's huge. That's something that Andy talked about, how businesses don't always help you save money. We do that through RI checks and underutilized instances. I'll show you some of those here in a minute. So first check in Trusted Advisor, this is the portal we're going to demo, is all about cost optimization. We're going to give you kind of a highlight where there's a number of checks underneath there. But really the goal here is to save you money. We want you to come into the cloud, use it the right way, and make it cost effective for your business. Security is a great one. Security is something that a lot of people forget about. This highlights where you might have holes. Security groups are easy to sort of run rampant. You forget to close out a port, or you open things up to the world. Trusted Advisor goes out and scans your environment, looks for open ports, looks where you're doing things that aren't necessarily the greatest idea. Fault tolerance. This is probably actually my second favorite to cost optimizations. This is a great one where it helps you understand how to use the cloud in the right way, how to expand across multiple availability zones, how to take advantage of Elastic Load Balancer. I'm going to demo ELB as an unbalanced app here in a minute. And then performance. Performance is a great area for you to focus on within the cloud. You want to make sure you're using instances that are the right size. You want to make sure that they're not stretched. When should you scale? What are your limits? Are you getting close to your limits? We're going to show you those things in Trusted Advisor. So we're going to jump over here to the demo. I'm going to a couple links here just for you to reference, but I'm actually going to go live demo. I'm rolling the dice here in a live presentation with a live demo, so let's see how it rolls here. All right, great. What you're seeing right now is actually the front page of Trusted Advisor. This is actually my own test account that I have running inside AWS. You'll see that I have a number of different things to fix. I've left a number of things open for you guys to just see what the actual live customer experience is. But one of them that I want to show you is this one right here. I have an Elastic Load Balancer here that says that I'm not necessarily configured in the most optimal way. Well, we're going to take a look at that. If we pop into the fault tolerance area, you'll see that there are a number of checks in here, and yellow, a warning here, is showing our Elastic Load Balancer optimization settings. Elastic Load Balancer is set up right now to span across 2 different availability zones. However, you'll see that I have 3 in one zone instances and only 1 in the other. This is an unbalanced optimization right now. The way ELB works is it actually tries to distribute requests equally across zones that you have in your load balancer. This will not result in a great experience when that single instance starts getting 3 times more load than it's expecting. So we want you to change that. We're highlighting here that you have an uneven distribution. It's a yellow check. One more in here that you'll see is in our security settings. I have an example here that's a quick one. I have a security group here with port 22 wide open to the world. That's an open red check for us. That's something that we see customers do often. It's an easy way to get access. Not the greatest security idea there. So I'm going to jump over here into the management console, and I'm going to fix both of these problems. So this is the EC2 dashboard in the AWS Management Console. Many of you have probably seen it before. Today you'll see I have 6 instances running. I have 3 in one zone and 3 in the second zone. When I look at my elastic load balancer, you'll see that I only have those 4 instances underneath it right now. 3 in the first zone and only 1 in that second zone. We're going to go ahead and fix that. I'm going to add the other instances behind my load balancer. We're also going to jump over and just fix that little port 22 issue. The security group that it was set up on was my default security group. You'll see it right here. Port 22 SSH is open to the world. We don't consider port 80 as an issue open to the world. That's something that everybody would want to do to be able to serve your websites. You see that I have ICMP up here as well for ping, and that is locked down to a made-up IP here. I made that one up. But we're going to go ahead and change this. We're going to get rid of this rule, and we're going to add the right rule. And apply the rules. So now we've updated our security group as well. Let's hop back into Trusted Advisor, refresh our checks, and see if it turns us green. This is going to take a minute to refresh. Behind the scenes, we have systems that are going out and pulling information about your systems, compiling that together, running through some algorithms. In fault tolerance as well, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and refresh this check as well. While those are refreshing, this is going to take a minute or two. I'm going to actually take you over to the cost optimization tab and show you real quickly just how that rolls. Underutilized instances is something that we've seen. I'm going to show you some customer feedback after this demo where they've used this. One of the most recent bits of feedback that I've had is from a large customer named Earth Networks. They're an enterprise customer of ours. With this check alone, they've found that they've been able to save around $7,000 per month just by looking for instances that have sort of gone rogue or have been underutilized. As you get large, you can have instance proliferation. You can have instances in zones that dev teams have spun up across your businesses that they may forget about. With TA, you can go find those. Here's an example where I have these instances that have been launched now for a while, and I'm just clearly not using them. They've been a demo in my account. This is an example where you might be able to dig those up. I'm going to actually jump over here as well to show you something as those checks are reloading. This is our support center. This is where you can open up support cases with us, but I want to highlight 2 different widgets that have been built into it. Here's the Trusted Advisor widget that shows you the summary, the roll-up of your checks. This is sort of your landing page. You can come here when you want to check in on things. We also have something here that I haven't talked about in the deck, but it's called support for health checks. This was highlighted under our basic support offering. This is where we're going out and we're proactively looking at the actual system checks for EC2. EC2 provides a system and instance level health check. This is going to highlight anytime there's a system level check failing on your instances, and then give you the option to contact us via the support center. So let's hop back into Trusted Advisor and take a look at things. Well, we'll see that our security group ports open is now flipped back to green. 0 of 4 security groups are having an issue now, which is great. Under fault tolerance as well, we'll see that our load balancer is now optimized with 3 instances under each of the zones. So that's Trusted Advisor in a nutshell. Allows you to take action based on the reporting that you're seeing, turn things green across the board, and ensure that you're doing things the right way. Let's flip back to the presentation now, if you don't mind. Excellent, thank you. Here are the couple links for you. You can follow along, dive into it during the presentation. We're going to jump into some success stories here from Trusted Advisor. First one is from Hungama. This is a large customer out of India that was using quite a bit of resources, and they ran Trusted Advisor, and they discovered some things through reserved instances and underutilized instances. They were able to save 12% on their monthly bill. That's significant when you consider your infrastructure costs already today. The second one on here from Meteor, this is a great one too, where they've started using us. They've dug in, they've made Trusted Advisor part of their regular weekly operations. They're taking a look at things. They're following the right guidance. They're learning from things. We're going to shift gears a little bit off Trusted Advisor and talk a little bit about enterprise support. This is that sort of top tier of support that we provide for you today. That's where you get a dedicated technical account manager, as well as you're engaged by a number of other people. Your account manager is going to be right there with you, as well as solutions architects and the global 24/7 support organization. This is a full team of people dedicated to you to help you out, make sure that you're having a great experience with using our services. We're talking, we're communicating, we're all on the same page to make sure that we're all moving in the right direction. So I also want to take a minute here to announce, actually, something that we're releasing today. I believe it might be coming out this afternoon or tonight, but we are exposing APIs for the Support Center and Trusted Advisor. This is something that we know customers want. We know they're going to be using them. With the APIs in the Support Center, you're going to be able to integrate your own ticketing systems into our systems. A lot of people already run their own ticketing systems. It makes sense to allow you to integrate that with us. As well as Trusted Advisor, creating a widget within your own operational tools to highlight things that you need to go take a look at. Proactively checking and scanning your security vulnerabilities. Are you fault tolerant? Do you have underutilized instances? Run that across all the accounts across your company and make sure that you're giving the guidance to the teams that you work with every day so that they're using us the right way. So we're going to flip over, actually, we're going to have John Martinez come up here from Adobe. He's actually sitting here in the front row. John's been working with us for a while now. Adobe is an enterprise support customer of ours. He's just going to give you, sort of from his point of view, what's been his experience with enterprise support, as well as some of the APIs they've been using in our public beta. John, thanks for coming up. Hand this off to you here. All yours.
Thank you. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about our interface with Amazon's enterprise support. Well, first of all, I work in cloud operations. We're responsible for operating quite a bit of Adobe's large-scale cloud-based services like Creative Cloud, Digital Publishing Suite, some of those other services that Adobe really is pushing out into the cloud. And I'll talk about an experience there with our enterprise support team. But we've had a lot of really good experience with our support team, our TAMs. We really see them as an extension of our team. We really do utilize them that way. When we're talking about different issues, when we're talking about what we're planning on doing, we actually work with our TAMs and make sure that they're aware of what we're doing, number one, and they get us to think about things that we probably wouldn't have thought about in relation to our launch, our product launches. So we treat them as an extension of our team. We invite them to some of our architecture meetings. We invite them to some of our planning meetings. And one of the things we also recognize about our TAMs and our bot support team is that they're really good at following up internally at AWS with a lot of our requests. So for example, if we have some crazy growth pattern that we need for S3, for example, we're going to throw a whole bunch of data on S3. We talk to our TAMs, and they're really, really good about talking to the internal AWS teams and getting things done on our behalf. Another thing we do actually is we also do weekly or so. It depends on busyness or lack of subjects or things like that, topics to talk about, which sometimes does happen. We actually meet with our TAMs on a weekly basis, so it's kind of our check-in with our support team. It's not just our TAMs; it's with our entire account team actually, and we talk about different stuff. We talk about everything from our support, our issues that we're having, stuff that's coming up, billing, a whole bunch of other stuff that we talk to our enterprise support team about, our enterprise team about. And they really are that white glove team at AWS. Our enterprise account team really is the team that gets things done for us inside of AWS. So that's how we treat them. Again, part of our team. I know that they figuratively put on those white gloves and they come in and they help us set things up. So a couple of examples of where things have worked really well. One was our Creative Cloud launch. It was really crunch time. We had actually, it's probably one of Adobe's most aggressive releases that we've ever done. During that launch period, our TAMs were heavily involved in supporting our deployments. We went from beta of our service to production in a couple of months. And really, our TAMs were instrumental in helping us proactively avoid some pitfalls in terms of things like partitioning our S3 bucket for our assets, our customer assets that were going up. So they helped us with that. They helped us with things like ELB pre-warming. Stuff that we weren't really thinking about. We were heavily involved in thinking up our architecture, how things were going to connect to what, all of that kind of stuff. But it was really instrumental in having our TAMs talk to us about those two different topics, which on the surface may not seem like a whole lot, but on the back end, it's really, really saved our bacon in many times from a performance perspective. And also when we were going live, they reacted very quickly to things like account limits, right? One of the things that we run into, and one of our most common actual issues that we have whenever we launch new accounts or whenever we're doing some kind of large-scale deployment, is hitting those EC2 instance limits, right? Or some EBS limit or something like that. So our TAMs are very good at making sure that those limits get raised very quickly for us. Another good example was during Hurricane Sandy last year. We actually had our TAMs become weathermen for us. They actually sent emails out proactively every half hour, every hour or so, and they were telling us, okay, the hurricane is 100 miles off the coast of Virginia, right? And we don't nothing's happening, everything's good, but it's out there. We want you guys to know, right? I mean, it's something that you could just turn on the news and you could see yourself, right? But I think what I'm getting at here is that it was a really good experience with our TAMs keeping us in the loop on what was going on, and not so much of the weather itself or the hurricane itself, but how it was affecting, or actually, in this case, not affecting AWS in the Virginia region. And so, from that, over-communication was really good. Sometimes it's one of those things where, maybe there's a little too much communication going on, but in that particular case, it was really good. Over-communicating was perfect for us. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about our usage, actually, of the Support Center API. Justin just showed that off to you guys. But I want to, we had early access to that. And I just want to say, we love our TAMs. We like talking to them on the phone. No problem. Ashwin is right here in the front row. We like talking to him. But we want a little bit more automation. We're all about that DevOps culture internally. So we want to be able to, use more of Amazon's APIs in our everyday usage and automate things. It's always good to try to get our automation around being metrics driven, right? So when we heard about the API, the support API coming around, we're like trying to think, well, how could we use this? So one particular case that we came up with is that we internally have a service support team, and this service support team is actually in charge of raising what we call our critical system outages. And they're the folks that call engineers, on-call engineers at 2, 3 in the morning to say this particular service is down. But it's actually been kind of a drag from a AWS support perspective, because every single time we've had an outage and we've determined that it was an AWS issue, our service support team has had to actually log in, find the credentials for a particular AWS account, log in, and log the case, right? So we've done a couple of ugly things, like maybe have a central account, and we open up a support case from there, but then our AWS support folks, they don't know which account it's really affecting, and so it becomes kind of a problem. So when AWS presented the Support Center API, one of the first things we thought about, well, maybe we could write our own portal around AWS support, right? I mean, it's an API. We can do that. And the idea behind it is so that it makes it easy for our service support team, who manages these hundreds of AWS accounts, to be able to log a case in a particular account, and one that is affected by that outage at that time. So the APIs, they're going to allow us to integrate not just with our own portal, but we're looking at things like maybe integrating with Zendesk or whatever, one of these other third-party support tools. But there's that's actually the front end to our portal. It's still kind of ugly. We're we're thinking about how we're going to design it. You know, we're engineers, not web designers, that kind of thing. But for now, it works. We're still running it in a beta. So right there, we're listing, actually via the API, we're listing our different support calls. And there's all the support numbers. These happen to me. It kind of scrolled off on the bottom, but we had a couple of other accounts to kind of show that, yes, we are using it with multiple accounts. But that's kind of the list. And if we flip to the next slide, you'll see the use case for actually opening up a support call. In the service section, that's an Adobe internal service that we're talking about, not an AWS service. But this particular example is we're opening up a support call for a shared cloud production account, and I'm saying, help, our ELB is on fire, please help us, AWS support. And then you hit submit, and then the actual case gets created. It's all via API. This particular application is actually PHP on the back end, so we're able to use the Support Center APIs via PHP. And coming up next, kind of the next things that we're looking at doing is using the Trusted Advisor API. And what we're thinking about there, we're really kind of in the early phase of thinking about kind of how we thought about creating our own internal portal for support cases. We're thinking about how do we integrate the Trusted Advisor API with CloudWatch to kind of get us into the mode of automatically maybe terminating unused instances, stuff like that. It's kind of a scary thing to do, but that's kind of what we're thinking along those lines to help us really curb the EC2 instance sprawl that I'm sure nobody else has except for us. But that's kind of what we're thinking. In conjunction with CloudWatch, we also plan in that support portal that we created to also integrate the service limits via API and present them to our account holders internally, so that we could have, before we open that case, okay, that's why I couldn't launch an EC2 instance. It was because we've reached the limit. We're already at 200 instances or whatever. There's a whole bunch of stuff we haven't really thought about yet. So, the sky's the limit. That's the wonderful thing about operating in AWS, right, is that AWS creates all of these wonderful APIs, and we can all create all these cool tools around their platform. So thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, John. I'm actually going to go and show you something. This is kind of a fun example. Can we flip actually back over to the other screen? I emailed a dev in our SDK team late last night. I said, hey, the TA APIs are going to be out there. Can you whip together something for us tonight? Perfect. And he said, yeah, let me take a look. And so he did what any good dev would do, and pulled up the SDK, loaded it up, wrote a quick page to consume a couple of the APIs, and then went ahead and deployed it to a Beanstalk container. It took him no time at all. It's a pretty straightforward thing. But this is actually a live Beanstalk app running right now that's basically just calling one of the primary summary APIs for Trusted Advisor, and just pulling up. Are you showing warnings, or what is the check? Am I green? Am I warning? Is it an error? Here's an underutilized instance check here that's showing the example here where number of resources processed in this dev account was 26. Number that are flagged is 12. Therefore, it showed it as a warning. The list goes on and on here. But just great example of how people can start using these TA APIs to embed within your operations. You want to use them. You want to make sure that you're pulling this data, which is super useful for folks. It makes it easier for you from a DevOps point of view to understand what's going on, to help educate your teams and pull the teams in the right direction. At the same time, obviously, you're welcome to give support a call anytime, and we'll talk you through things. Let's flip back to the other one, and we actually have a bunch of time here left, which is great. We had time answer questions. I'm also going to be around, by the way, all afternoon, as well as have support engineers or staff downstairs in the expo at the support booth. But any open questions in the audience that I can answer about support, any of the plans that we are offering, Trusted Advisor checks, APIs, I'm happy to field anything you guys have got. Hey, Randy, can we just hand this down to him? Cool. Thanks, Randy.
I was saying, I just love the fact that you provide APIs for anything you do. There is one aspect that I would like an API. Maybe there is one, and maybe I don't know about it, which is the CloudWatch data. Two actually, CloudWatch data, being able to access that data through an API. And the second is my usage data, right? So,
Sure.
for example, I have a multi-tenant solution.
Yes.
And I want to know how much of S3 usage each of my tenants have.
Yeah, absolutely. So CloudWatch data, it should be available via an API today. There should be quite a bit of it there for you. The usage reports are also, I'll actually defer to you guys. Is the API out for those, or is it still being worked on?
If all your accounts are under a master account and all of them are linked, you can get all the usage data under one account. If yes, so you can programmatically upload these usage reports or the detailed reports to an S3 bucket, and then you can programmatically access it however you want it. So your entire report is automatically uploaded on a periodic basis to an S3 bucket. And then whatever you want to do with it, it's up to you.
We'll be happy to step aside and dig deep with that question if you want. We have actually engineers from the support organization in this room right now, and we'll pull aside here and have a couple of side office hours here before the next presentation.
Yep. But there are a lot of options, so we can talk offline.
Any other questions about support? What we can do? What we won't do? Sure. Sure, good question. During the evaluation phase, we actually have quite a few customers that sign up for business support and use that as an option. It's $100 to sign up and call in and just start talking to us. Additionally, if you have an account manager, they could connect you with a solutions architect who will also dive into sort of the pre-sales, the pre-launch, the implementation phase with you. But we're happy to also talk to you before you ever even launch an instance. Talk you through what are the features, what is your use case, how can you apply those to actually what you're doing. So we actually have quite a few folks that do that. Anything else? Sure. Right, so Trust Advisor is going to be monitoring things like your security groups and relating those back to your actual instances. It's not going to be doing some things that you would think of a third-party security app doing, which is deep probing into your actual host. It doesn't do that today. That would be a separate offering that you'd have to sign up for. Does that answer your question? Okay, cool. It's not to say we won't put a health check on there. We could end up doing that. Sure.
Can you bring back up the feature matrix you had earlier in the presentation?
Happy to.
Has the feature matrix for support, has that changed over time, and do you foresee any changes to that?
It actually has changed quite a bit over time. Well, when I first started, we didn't have a paid support offering for technical support. It also went through this evolution of being metallic names. So we had a bronze offering and a silver offering and a gold offering. That's evolved into a more of an obvious naming convention for all of you to sort of self-select. Today, we're always trying to add features. We continue to expand upon the third-party software support. Trusted Advisor was an add that we've added on there. The event management is something we've added in the last year. So, short answer to your question is yes, we plan to add to it. Do I expect things to change significantly over time? No. We will drop prices again when we have the opportunity to. We've done that in the past. We're going to continue to innovate. If you have examples of things that you would like to see us doing, I would love to break away and have a talk with you and just discuss what might be on our roadmap today. Other questions? Yeah, let me give you sorry that's not on the slide actually. So developer level support there is $49 a month, unlimited cases for email-based cases. Business level support is $100 a month, and then it moves into a usage-based tiering. We take a percentage of your AWS total usage. But it's $100 if you want to sign up today. And then enterprise support is a $15K minimum. It starts at 10% of your usage and then goes down to 3% as you grow. Yeah, no problem. Well, things like this are right off of our detail page. You can find that with aws.amazon.com/premium support. And you'll get all this information right there. There's links to actual Trusted Advisor demos. You can also go and sign up for an account and dive into some things. Anything else, guys? Okay. Well, thank you everyone for coming. It's been great to present to you today. As I said, I'll be here sort of after the session to answer questions, as will my team. We'll also be down in the expo at the support booth. If you have anything that's sort of tickling your brain that you want answers to, feel free to swing by. We'll dive into your issues. We'll talk through them with you and talk about the product too. Thanks again.